Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the beta for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, our planetary tour continues, with the prison planet next on our hit list. No, wait, first we've got Rykad Majoris, but that one wasn't actually marked with an exclamation point, so I'm not sure there's anything there for us. That's it. First up, we've got this level up, so let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. First up, we've got Rhett, and we'll just keep cranking his ballistic skill. Get him back to the point where he can reliably perform the Death Blossom like he could back in the Alpha. And then we get an ability, which shouldn't be confused with talents. Abilities are a bit more closely keyed to your doctrine. And I'm thinking we'll go Revel in Slaughter. I already had my eye on that one, and as we saw last time around, Rhett is entirely capable of pulling off 3 kills in a single fight. Though I suppose the real question is whether or not there's much of a fight left at that point. But we'll let future Rhett worry about that. Next up we've got Abelard. He gets an ability. And again, some pretty decent options here. I actually earmarked Taunting Scream, but we had that back in the Alpha, so I feel compelled to try something new. So let's grab Break Through the Lines instead. That's a nice combination of offense and mobility. Her skills will obviously keep cranking athletics, though I think we did just hit the limit. More on that in a moment. And Adira. Adira gets a talent. Not to be confused with an ability. And she has a ton of options, but we're going to go right down to the bottom of the list again and pick up Predicted Downfall from her Divination list. That is a nice dodge debuff on all of our foes at the beginning of every fight. I feel like that fits her style, at least the style we're leaning into. Then she gets a characteristic boost. And I guess we'll round out her intelligence. That'll bump her warp lore too. Though, again, I believe that actually will max her out. At least for this doctrine. I think the general gist of it is that you can advance characteristics and skills twice per doctrine. But there do seem to be exceptions, so I'm still kind of hazy on exactly how it all works. Argenta. We'll try something different. In her case, we will go for Controlled Shot. Whereas that skill is now useless for someone like Rhett, who is burst dependent. Argenta is using a low rate of fire, high damage weapon, so I could definitely see situations where, in her case, there'd be value in firing a single well-placed shot. And that brings us to Cassia, who is slightly more complicated, in part because she actually gains 2 levels. She came in with 4 levels preset, level 1 through 4. But we actually get to choose her advance for level 5 and 6, which is nice. Though really, it's pretty straightforward. She's our leader, our only leader, so we'll bump her fellowship. For skills, right here you can see that she has maxed out her persuasion already, which, according to this breakdown, maxes at 20, or 2 advances. Though I am still unclear if that's forever or per doctrine, or if there's some other reset mechanism. According to the tabletop, it is basically forever, and at this point we'd only be able to further advance those skills using characteristic advances or stat-boosting equipment. But that feels pretty limited for a 30-plus hour CRPG. Not to mention, of course, that back in the Alpha I very distinctly recall advancing some skills much more than just twice. But regardless, that is not how it appears to be working here, so we'll have to pick something else, and I guess we'll go for Commerce. Cassie is just better equipped to handle it than Abelard is, so we will leave it in her capable, taloned hands. After that, she gets a talent, and we will go right for Commanding Voice. That effectively doubles the range of many of her leadership abilities, which will be pretty vital later down the line. Though I would also like to bump some of her Navigator stuff too, since that's new for the beta. That'll just have to wait until we get another level or 2 under her belt. Then she gets a second characteristic advance, and again, Fellowship marked as maxed. She would have 2 advances on Fellowship now from previous levels, counting the one we just did. Again, that feels pretty limited, but I guess we'll see how it plays out. We'll gain a few more levels and then judge. Oh, and then we have one other thing we have to take care of real quick. Let's grab Theodora's rosary off Abelard and pass that over to Cassia, because she will get much better use out of it. And that's it. Level up complete. Took about 5 minutes and change. Not bad. Let's see what comes next. Who's that guy? Lord Captain, Lady Navigator, welcome aboard. The Sanctum Navis has been prepared for the communion ritual, but if the Lady Navigator wishes to rest in her quarters first... Cassia sharply raises her hand in protest, but then closes it around the glowing stone in her throat. A pained grimace twists her uncanny features. I first wish to speak with the rogue trader. Leave us. Of course. When you are ready for the ritual, please let me know. Oh dear. Are we already getting into it? Cassia sweeps her pensive gaze over Vigdis, then, lowering her lashes slightly, turns to you. Lady Cassia, you clearly have something on your mind. Please, speak. After a few seconds' hesitation, Cassia lets out a small exhale, and then raises her pointed chin. I have not yet thanked you for saving me on the station. My thoughts were clouded with so much mournful ash when Theobald's heart stopped. But you acted honorably and did not exploit me in my wretched position. And for that I am immeasurably grateful. Right, okay. Okay. I am also deeply grateful that you saved my servants, especially my valet. Uwe served on the station for more than 5 years, much longer than any who preceded him. That's who that is. That's the mute servant from the lab. No, the guard barracks. The one who gave us that creepy picture. He knows how to properly attend to me during journeys through the Immaterium, and what to serve me for breakfast. His presence envelops me in a cloak of amber. However, I am troubled by that stone you implanted inside me according to Felix's instructions. I cannot remove it, or tear it out, or cut it out. I cannot even touch it. It is suffocating me, weighing me down as though my heart were locked in gray-blue ice. I can but hope that it will not be a hindrance when I am guiding the ship through the Sea of Souls. Yeah, I mean, that is a risk, but the alternative is unleashing you on my crew. But now, Cassia throws back her shoulders. I am ready to go to the Sanctum Navis and perform the sacred rite. I require brushes, canvas, and the best paints you have on board. But no red. Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose we could do that. I actually respect that she didn't ask me to remove the stone. But why do you require these items? You are asking questions, the answers to which you cannot comprehend. Perhaps I may explain it all to you at a later time, but now our time is too precious to waste. As a navigator of House Orselio, I give you my word that without canvas and paint, we have little hope of a smooth journey through the warp. I have no reason to lie. Actually, that does make sense. The previous navigator had the giant organ, so... How exactly does this ritual work? I doubt the uninitiated could understand the mysteries of navigation, but I shall try to explain the essence of it. I must merge my mind and will with the machine spirit of the ship, so that I become one with the vessel. Cassia lifts a lock of hair from the back of her neck, revealing gilded implant ports. After that, I use the House Orselio ritual, which I am loath to reveal to you, to free my mind of all errant thoughts. And then it is time to open my third eye and peer into the depths of the warp itself. Among the nightmarish visions, mirages, and creatures of the abyss, only the light of the Emperor is the truth that will lead me from star to star, from system to system. Oh, the light! The guiding thread, so fine it can slip from one's grasp at any moment. Cassia unfurls her hand as though dropping something. But you have nothing to worry about. The navigators of House Orselio never lose their course. And I have to ask, why do you not require red paint? Cassia gestures toward the servant standing beside her. Uwe will give of his blood before the ritual, as always. Oh, that is not the answer I was expecting. Sorry, Uwe. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something about, like, the colors of emotions, or the echo of violence and death, or something. Yes, of course, I'll have it taken care of. Cassia nods in thanks. I shall take my leave of you for the duration of the rite. I ask that you do not follow me. Few can survive the gaze of my warp eye when it is opened. Yeah, fair enough. I'll keep that in mind. And we're not quite done. Okay, what do we got now? Vigdis? Lord Captain, I will oversee the open channel between the Lady Navigator and the bridge, and may the Emperor's light help us all. That's the spirit. I'm sure it'll go great. Though we're not actually warping just yet. We're... Lord Captain, congratulations on acquiring a navigator. Spare me a few moments of your time, please. There are several matters that require your attention. First of all, I want to report on the condition of the station, Urak 5. Had you opted to begin your visit to the Rykad system with a different destination, the station could have become critically unstable. Fortunately, the decision to visit the representatives of Navis Nobilite immediately bought us precious time. We can either send our forces to disassemble the station and procure technological components for our own vessel, or attempt to save as many valuables as we can. Right, so it does matter which order we visit these locations in. And I imagine that ship components would be scrap, which we use to repair our ship. And then that would probably be more cargo, which in theory is nice, but we have yet to find a location we can actually offload that stuff. Then again, there might be consumables or gear we can actually use, so we'll go with the loot. As you wish, Lord Captain. With your permission, I would also like to remind you that we are still looking for a chief engine seer. Both the vessel and its machine spirits are in desperate need of an oversight by an experienced tech priest. We are also missing some crew, and, much more importantly, we have not yet located Heinrichs von Kalox, the right hand of the Lord Inquisitor. Now we know for sure he was not at Urak 5, so keep this in mind when making your future plans. Vigdis, you're far too serious for your own good. You're always delivering dire news, but why not stop by from time to time to tell me how wonderful things are going? Might be a nice change of pace. Certainly, Lord Captain. If you are interested, this week passed with a record low rate of minor disturbances on the lower decks. A senior technomat from Shift 8 came up with a new formula for a lubricant used in the kitchen servitor implant maintenance. The quartermaster of store compartment 11 reported recently that we are spending ceremonial decorations at least 20% slower than expected, which means we have enough tablecloths, carpets, and lamps to last us 15 years of grand receptions instead of 10. Even considering some of the stock was burned during the cultist attack on the vessel. Right, yes. Well, thank you, Vigdis. That is good news indeed. That'll be all. Whatever you say, Lord Captain. I like her. Okay, so... wait, did we actually get any loot from Urak 5? Because if we did, I am certainly not seeing it in our feed. And of course the location is no longer visitable, which makes sense. It presumably blew up or decompressed or whatnot. So, okay, we'll just, we'll push on. As always, I should note, this is just the beta. Oh, wow, okay. So I guess there's nothing on Rykad Majoris, which I suppose explains why there's no exclamation point. Fair enough. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Vigdis pauses as if listening to something. There's some pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wersurian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. Intriguing. I wonder what's going on now. Oh, okay. Abelard, what seems to be the problem? Abelard? Abelard? Oh, Well, if you'll excuse me, I just needed some space. So... I guess... Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that's not how that was supposed to play out. I'm fairly certain I was not supposed to eject into the void of space, but, what do I know? I'm dead. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back. Okay, so it does turn out that event is fairly borked. I actually had to look up assistance on how to bypass some of the otherwise impassable parts of it, because the cutscenes just weren't working properly. But it turns out it's also content we already saw back in the Alpha series. For those of you who are curious and didn't watch the Alpha series, you can see that specific mission in episode 25. I believe episode 25 only covered that specific mission. But for the purposes of this series, we're just going to stay focused on the newer stuff and the less janky stuff, and push on to the prison planet and points beyond. Though we did pick up enough XP for yet another level up, so we should probably take care of that. Let's see what we've got. Well, this isn't right. There we go. Okay, so first up we've got Rhett. And again, bumping ballistics. Followed by skill, so we'll go ahead and crank up awareness. Then we'll go ahead and do Argenta, since she gets the same advances, ballistics and Imperial lore. And after that, we'll go ahead and tackle Cassia, which is slightly more complicated, because she picks up an ability, which could either come from the leader tree, or from her unique navigator tree. And given that I am very curious about our new navigator powers, I think that's where we'll lean. And since we've already got that Staff of Castigation, which I would like to try, I think we'll go with Vision of Hell, which seems like a fairly potent area debuff, especially with the effects of the Rod of Castigation added on top of it. Plus, as an added bonus, that also acts as a prerequisite for some of these other abilities we don't currently have access to. So in the future, we should be able to start picking up even more potent debuffs and just outright overt psychic attacks. Then she picks up a skill advance, and Persuasion's still maxed out, so we're going for Commerce. Though I will note, I actually just kind of glossed over it a moment ago, but Rhett is on his third awareness upgrade because, intentional or not, it seems like the Origin skills actually break the normal 2 upgrade limit. Something which will come up again in just a moment here. because next we've got Adira. Again, we'll drop right down to our divination set and grab Foreboding, which is a nice area buff. And then we have skills. And this should illustrate it quite clearly, but it doesn't even categorize the origin bonuses. We currently have plus 30 to Warp Lore, and I'm not sure if that's an intentional allowance or not. I mean, it feels like an oversight, but if it does turn out that you can bypass the normal limitations on skill caps via your origin choice, that really puts a lot more weight on your character origin, since it essentially would set the 1 or 2 skills that your character can absolutely master. Again, though, I do feel like that's not the way it's intended to work. And Abelard will get Weapon Skill and Athletics, which in theory maxes out Athletics, but we'll see what it says when we hit level 8. And that's it. Level up complete. I suppose we could chat with some of the folks around the bridge, but we'll save all that stuff for the full launch, I think. Right now I'm eager for some action, so let's see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into. Rycad Philia. Alright, party people. Time to party. Pilot Raquel.
A new challenge for me?
Repentance in prison is but a weak shadow of a true transformation of the soul. Only in battle, by abjuring the flesh and cloaking the soul in flame, can one earn absolution.
This ocular implant
That's nice.
is a worthwhile investment.
The floating text on companions is still kind of awkward. Also, we have a trap. And I assume someone else is going to say something to Argenta. So now I have to wait for that. Anytime now? There we go. Sometimes it suits the Imperium's functionaries to have a criminal spend the rest of his days toiling in a pit, working for the good of the righteous until his last breath. Cool. So, thanks, guys. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go see what's actually going on here. Ma'am? Ma'am? Come in, escort. This is Captain Vicari. Escort, please, come in. The pale young woman looks at you with a mixture of hope and disbelief swirling in her eyes. You notice her hands trembling as she clutches her weapon. Who are you? Did you come from the planet? Are you reinforcements? Saint's teeth, I thought you'd never come. Inappropriate. Yes, of course. That is precisely why we're here. But it was a long journey, so why don't you elaborate on the situation to make sure we're on the same page? Well, there's been a prison riot on the planetoid. Sadly, it's being led by the prison warden himself, the Honorable Anathagon Casteglia. That's probably how that's pronounced. He has allied himself with a rabble that he himself was supposed to watch, and declared Rycadi Philia to be independent of the authority of the system's lawful governor. I came here as a shuttle pilot alongside the Honorable Evane Winterscale, son of Caligos Winterscale, rogue traitor, vanquisher of Xenos, forever triumphant over the enemies of humanity, she details, enunciating every word in her overlord's title. Young Lord Winterscale wished to speak to the warden personally so he could put an end to this lawless treason. He and his escort went ahead and... She grows paler. I haven't been able to contact them over Vox for a very long time now. Vain, Abelard mutters, stroking his beard. One of his distant younger offspring, yes. That's as much as I know about him, which means he hasn't distinguished himself in any meaningful way. Which I would imagine has something to do with why he chose to spearhead this operation, to defuse the situation himself. She sighs quietly. Yes, it's a personal matter. Master Casteglia, the seditious warden, is Lord Yvain's childhood friend. When my lord heard of the riot, the news saddened him greatly, and so he rushed here without delay, in hopes of bringing his old friend to his senses, no doubt. The first winter scale in my memory who prefers to talk first rather than shoot and slash. That is notable. She smiles faintly. Young Lord Winterscale is not his father's shadow. If he's determined to save his friend, he won't back down. I pray to the throne that he is alive and well. He's been gone for such a long time, and I really don't like this place. So you say this prison riot is led by the warden himself? That seems unusual. Yes, she bites her lip. No one expected this. Master Casteglia is a nobleman from a respected governor house and a vassal to House Winterscale. All of a sudden he'd proclaimed that Rycadiphilia was now his personal domain, that the prisoners were his subjects, and that he would never bow to anyone again. It's pure heresy. Oh, I wonder if we could have actually met Yvain if we had come here first. And I take it they're looking forward to a diet of sand and gravel? What kind of madman would start a revolt on a barren rock? I mean, the obvious answer is they must have some sort of source for that. What can you tell me about this planetoid? The only settlement on Rycadiphilia is a penal colony. Inappropriate. The prisoners work in the mines and the domed quarries. They mine sulfur, ceram dust, and sand, which gets melted down. A rather nondescript place. Or so it was, prior to current events. I don't suppose in your brief time here you've heard of a man named Heinrich Sven Kalox? Unless it's one of the prisoners or guards, then it seems unlikely. There are no shuttles in working order other than yours and mine. There's nothing else anyone could have used to reach this place. That's certainly fair. Tell me, is there anything else you feel I should be made aware of before I set out to resolve this situation? Yes, some of the rebels have holed up in the barracks. I don't know how many, but given this is the only way through to where the negotiations are taking place, I would expect heavy resistance. Please take caution, your lordship. Lord Winterscale's guards mined the entrance so that the rebels couldn't get to the shuttle. Oh, okay, well that explains the trap then. So the mine is yours. Understood. The woman freezes for a moment before asking hesitantly. Your lordship, if I may have a minute of your time, I would never have dared to trouble you with a personal matter, but the situation... In any case, have you been to the capital of Rykad Minoris yet? I wanted to ask if you saw a man there, a communications officer by the name of Jasper. Why do you ask? What is your relationship with this man? We are engaged, your lordship, she declares, somewhat bashfully. Ah, I see. I know nothing of this man's fate. That's a shame. May the Emperor keep that fool from harm. Thank you for your time, your lordship. She bows. You can tell by the desperation in her eyes that she is exhausted, frightened, and wishes to be off of this planetoid as soon as possible. And yet she remains. I admire that loyalty. Hopefully her master is still around to laud her for it.
I rise to the occasion.
Though again, I do wonder if he would have actually been here, like out in the entrance area, had we come here first. Of course, this also bodes poorly for our impending journey to Raghead Minoris. Oh, okay, I see. That's essentially the shortcut back once we fight our way through the barracks. And no one? Okay.
Over there.
Okay, well, we do have traps. That's something, I suppose.
They say a little bit of humility never hurt anyone.
I will never grow accustomed to seeing such a young woman as a comrade in arms.
At every step.
Fear not. I have my navigator skills to call upon. Statistically speaking, you are far more likely to perish in battle. Oh, I mean, that came out wrong. No, you were quite correct, Cassia. Especially the way I run him. But, who's counting? Let's give this place a gander, I guess. I was really looking forward to a fight, but I suppose...
It's about time.
I suppose I could do some exploring.
I did fine. Done.
That's the traps. Obvious lore object on that table there. Let's check the inspection points. The remains of Emile. One far too lavish for even a hive world, let alone a prison colony. A long string of names extends beneath the heading, Top Quarry Workers of the Cycle. Scraps of typical prison food, repulsive to the senses. Venerable Optimates, the best among us. The list is faded, and the names are barely legible. Okay, so this is where they ate.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Ugh, what a mess. Let's have a look at this thing. The Diary of Ati Shan, the Prisoner, Part 1. Grok shit. Why me? Why? I missed my tithe payment 12 years ago. 12 years! The inspector's writ got lost somewhere in the bowels of the planetary administratum and was lying there this whole time. But they sure did remember to tack on the fines every month. By the time they found the blasted paper and finally informed me, the total sum was so obscene it would take 3 generations of my descendants, if I had any, to pay it off. My fate was sealed. Trial, sentence, prison. All because of some daft rotter who shoved my paper in the wrong box. To be fair, I think I got off pretty easy. My bed in the barracks is about as hard as that slab of rockcrete I got at home. Working in the quarry isn't much tougher than my old job. And the rules. Void take me. That old sod that governs Raghead Minoris is a bloody sadist by comparison. It's a strange old place. I haven't been beaten once yet. The guards bark orders from sunup to sundown, but they never hit us. They also got this kind of inner circle of special, chosen prisoners. The Optimatum, they call it. If you can get in, Emperor as my witness, you get an actual day off. They let you out of your cell and into the yard by the big barracks. And I tell you what, they let you rest there and feed you better than whatever swill they're giving us in the commons. They told me it's to improve our motivation and all that, to foster a stronger desire to reform, and become a worthy servant of the Imperium once more. But I know it for what it is, just a club for the Warden's favorites. The same story as everywhere else. Suck up to those in power, you get some swanky perks. Swanky? They say the whole thing was the Warden's idea. A funny man, our Warden. He looks more noble than nobility itself. Tall, groomed, teeth even, eyes burning, boots so polished you can see yourself when you move to lick 'em. But that nutter doesn't much want people licking his boots. He walks around looking like he's in deep thought, all right, with only a couple of guards at his side, and sometimes, if you can believe it, Talks to prisoners. What's your name? He asks them all quiet-like. Why were you condemned? Do you feel remorse? He never even yells at no one, never orders to have them flogged. Instead, he divvies rewards out to the special ones. Keeps telling us things like how we should strive to make society believe in us again. Uh-huh. Whatever you say, Master Warden. Starting tomorrow, I'll be trying to join those optimates of yours. I'm stuck in here till the day I die, and that means no society for me. But, with the Emperor's help, I might just join the ranks of the local elite. Interesting. So I wonder... I mean, the obvious explanation would be cultist stuff, but it can't always be cultist stuff, right? I mean, yeah, we'll go ahead and put probability number 1 as Cult of Siench. No, Slaanesh, the demon god of pleasure. But maybe he is really just like a misguided noble or something. Oh, what do we got? What's going on? Hi there. And we're being ambushed. Wow, really should have seen that coming. Oh boy. Okay, we've got a guy with grenades on the other side of that barred enclosure too. That's not ideal. Especially since it seems like we're locked in position here. Yeah, we can't even swap our lineup. Oh. Huh. I guess he can't lob grenades through that enclosure. Which is great for us. I mean, yeah, we'll roll with it.
God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart. Faith without deeds.
Oh my, okay.
I'll do it.
That one's serious business. Let's try that again. Yikes, okay. So, Nimble Prisoner and Grenadier Guard. Those are our two main threats here. And then we've got a bunch of mooks on the side. Let's get Abelard in there.
A tactically sound approach. Indeed.
Oh, wow.
I will do my duty.
Even landing a hit, she soaked that like a champ. That was... Ah, I see. Okay.
It will be done.
So that's interesting. That implies we could use that slice move to, like, checker hop all the way down a line of enemies. We'll have to keep an eye out for opportunities to try that out. Ow. Jerk. Ma'am? 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 I think she might be panicking, just slightly. Though to be entirely fair, if I were in battle and got flanked by two people like Argenta and Abelard, I'd probably freak out a bit too. Might not handle it quite that way, but I mean, I can't really blame her, I suppose.
I'm not so sure. Anything else?
That's ablative defense for our front line.
On it.
Ow.
Why did I not foresee this?
Okay, I may have underestimated the prisoners. At least Abelard's tanking it like a champ. It's actually refreshing to see him soaking hits like that, as opposed to immediately keeling over half dead. I think if we switch off to our Ripper auto pistol, we should be able to draw a line. Oh yeah, that works out perfectly.
Suits my purposes. Hunting me was your biggest mistake.
Rip in peace.
All too easy.
I've got to say, I really wanted to try lasers this time around, but auto guns are just so much more viscerally satisfying to shoot people with. Case in point, that guy we just put to bed. Also, we just met the 3-kill threshold for our new move.
I have read tomes of
Though, as aforementioned, it does kind of beg the question of whether it's even really necessary at this point. We've already wiped half these guys out. Oh, you know what we should do? We should, where is it? Yes, we should use Notch of Purpose to see if we can goad that nimble prisoner into getting the runs. Okay, so 12 cell radius. Gotcha. Whoa. So less the runs and more bloody explosive diarrhea. My goodness. Yes, I think we're going to get a fair amount of use out of that power. Though, sadly, in this particular situation, we cannot actually see if it also debuffed her, because she spontaneously eviscerated.
Let's see how they respond to this.
That said, let's wrap this up. We're right on the cusp of momentum, so fight's pretty much over.
Even torture to fight like this.
I guess we'll have to revel in slaughter next time. Though I've got to say, I'm doing plenty of reveling right now. And we're done. Wow, I've got to say, this kind of feels like the first place we should have come, because that was not a tough fight. Let's grab this loot, and then I feel like we're at a good stopping point. Push grenade? That's new. Oh yeah? Pushes targets away? Toughness save or fall prone. Interesting. One of the talents I have been considering giving Argenta is that one that lets her lob a free grenade at the beginning of each combat. And then, as for that chainmail... Huh, yeah, that is a slight step up. Can't say I'm crazy about how it looks, but I'll take it. And then, not much else of note. We did get a serrated knife, but that's not really our style. Still, 2 items that we can actually use. Not too shabby. Especially given how easy the fight was. That said, I can see at least one more lore item ahead of us. So, yes, this is definitely where we'll call it. Which I'm fine with. I'm glad we got some action in right at the end there. I was worried it would be another dialogue-dense episode. Even sans the whole Abelard thing. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll double check our inventory, make sure our loadouts are properly set. And we will pick up here next time. Fair warning, content may be barred in some regions. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, Theory V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Rowan Church, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
I rise to the occasion.